Morning, everyone. Good morning. First of all, the last couple of days I haven't been feeling good, so my head has been sort of turned around. Here, let's give charity. Let's give charity today. We should have given it the other 2 days, and I forgot every day. And I also didn't say the Yom Yom. So first of all, let's begin the day by giving charity. Tzedakah tatzil memovos. Charity saves from death, and for sure it saves from things that are less severe as death. Charity, and charity will bring the gula. Sion b'mishpat tapara v'shaveh b'tzedakah. The Jewish people will only be redeemed through giving charity. So do good deeds. Do good deeds. You give from what you have to others. But now we're going to begin. Here we go. Yesterday we discussed the difference between Yehuda and Yosef, and we talked about how Yehuda is going to be the Mashiach. Mashiach will come from Yehuda, and Mashiach will not come from Yosef, even though Yosef is a very viable candidate for Mashiach, because after all, he did prove himself. He has receipts. Yosef ruled over all of Egypt, and Egypt was the ruler of the whole world. So Yosef, like Mashiach, will rule over the whole world in a spiritual way, and he'll advise everybody to do beneficial things that will benefit all mankind. Yosef saved the whole world from famine, and he also he directed the whole world into a more moral way of living and a proper way of living. Okay, but Yosef, we're going to see that Yosef had a problem. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Actually, we'll talk about it in the speech of the Rebbe, which we're going to learn in the Dvar Malchut. But we see that Yosef, first of all, Yosef was number two. After all, Yosef was not number one. He was, even though de facto he ruled over the whole world and he gave this amazing advice, but in fact, Paro was the real ruler, and Paro in any second could depose him. So there we see that way most of Yosef was not exactly like the Mashiach. But here, because Mashiach is going to be the uncontested ruler over everything, something like King Solomon was in the time of King Solomon, but more so. Because King Solomon, he convinced everyone outside. Everyone saw how holy he is. And Mashiach is going to show everyone how holy they themselves are. The world is going to announce godliness. How this is going to be, I don't know, but it's going to be. That's what Mashiach is. But here, in this moment we learned yesterday, Mashiach has the quality of humility. Humility. And we saw that in a very striking way, the difference between King David and Yerovam ben Nevat. Yerovam ben Nevat, he was from the tribe of Yosef. And he was a very great man, a very talented man. He was chosen by God. God chose him to be the king of 10 tribes. He had a bigger portion than King David, more tribes in the case. And nevertheless, but he did a lot of sins. He did a lot of sins. He went crazy about his rulership. He had to hold on. He was so worried that he was going to lose his rulership, so he did all sorts of crazy things. And it ended up sins. He made the Jewish people worship idols. But in the end, God said, listen, I can find an excuse for everything you did. I can excuse every sin that you've done. He said to Yerovam ben Nevat, every sin you've done, I can excuse it. To the degree that me and you and King David will be in heaven together. In heaven, it's not so easy to get into heaven. He said, don't worry, everything you've done, God said, I can find it. And Yerovam ben Nevat said, 1 second, who's going to be first? Me or King David? And God said, King David said, I don't want it. In other words, he had to be number one. Yerovam ben Nevat, he had to grow. He had to be the biggest. He had to be the greatest. And that's not the quality of Mashiach. Quality of Mashiach is that nothing that he does, he attributes to himself. Everything that he has, even the decisions he makes, everything, he makes the decisions. He has to be strong. He has to be smart. He has to be a leader. He has to be powerful and brave and all these things, but he doesn't attribute any of it to God, to himself. He doesn't think God has to give him anything. He doesn't deserve anything. That's Mashiach. The whole thing of Mashiach is going to be simplicity. He's going to not to show everyone what truth is. That's the idea of the truth. Simple. And the truth is that God is the boss. That it's God's world. It's not our world. We can't expect anything. We're lucky we're being created. That's Mashiach. That's also the third temple. That's also the temple. The temple will be made from stones, from rocks. What the third temple is going to be made of? I guess the third temple will also be made from rocks, and that'll be the whole point, is to show that the lowest worlds are the highest, even because the souls are going to come into the bodies and when the raising of the dead. So we see that the body's physical world is the lowest, is really the highest. Everything in the physical world will be holy. Okay, that's what we learned yesterday. That's a short summary of what we learned. So you didn't miss anything if you weren't here for the last 2 days. Ready? Vayilkot Yosef as a kesef animsa be'eretz Mitzrayim. He said Yosef gathered up all the money that was in the land of Egypt and the land of, and they had all the money in the world. I mean, you remember what happened, right? That there was a big famine, and Yosef predicted the famine, and he told Paro the steps to take to alleviate the famine. And when the famine came, so nobody had any food. The whole world was starving. And everyone found out that there was food in Egypt. And everyone came and gave everything that they had. In fact, they even sold themselves, it says, to Paro. So the Paro owned everything. Okay, what happened to all that money? So it says, Yosef gathered up all the money that was found in Egypt, and Yosef brought the kesef to the house of Paro. House of Paro, okay. Okay, number one, we could say, good, Yosef got the money. Number two, we could say, what did Yosef care about the money? What did he care about the money? What is this whole story about? I mean, the whole story seems to be very, how do you say, unnecessary. Don't make a famine, and just leave the Jews alone. Leave the Jews alone. Let the Jews be alone in the land of Israel. Yosef and his sons can grow up there. They were already in Israel. Let them grow up in Israel and be successful and be nice. And the world could take care of itself. And Yosef would take care of itself. No. There has to be, Yosef, his brothers hate him. They throw him into prison. They sell him. They sell him into Egypt. He's in prison in Egypt for 12 years until Paro has a dream. He gets out and he interprets the dream. And then there's a famine, which Yosef foresaw in this dream. And Yosef said, what do you need the whole story for? Don't make a famine. Don't make any troubles. Don't make his brothers hate him. Just Yaakov is there with, and his brothers like Yosef and they grow, and he's the greatest in the world. And everyone comes to him and says, no, one of the reasons that all this happened was that Yosef would be able to gather all the money. That it was worth the money. It was worth the money. If you said, I'll give you all the money in the world, I'm going to take your children and put them into slavery for 210 years. No normal father would take that deal. No normal father would take that deal. Right? I'll put your son into your children, next 4 generations of children, your grandchildren, they'll all be in prison for 210 years, but afterwards you're going to be really rich. The fifth generation, 4th generation, you'll be really rich. No normal father would take that such a ridiculous deal like that. You say it to someone else. I don't. I'll make my money from something else. What type of a job is that? To sit into prison for 4 years, for 4 generations, 210 years in prison, you get out. It's the worst job in the world. But the pay is great. Who's going to get the pay? And what do you need money for? It's such a big thing. So the answer is no. That money that Yosef got is signifying the value of this world, and even more that it says it's kesef. Kesef is love. So this world somehow or other is the best example of God's love, infinite love. God love for God. Now, love for God is not an easy thing to come by. Love for God. God, as we know, I mean, there's no secret that God is concealed, totally is concealed, right? God is concealed. We don't see, you see the world. You can say intellectually, nothing makes itself. You want to say that the world is here just by accident and say, yes, yeah, the world is by accident. Why not? It's by accident. The chances of that the world are by here by accident, it's like 10 trillion to the 10 millionth power to one that the whole world could be accidentally created like that. So it's good. That's right. So that's it. But the pot, the odds that there are God are zero. Are zero. So there is a possibility that the world occurred this way accidentally. True, it's a whatever is it, 220 billion to the 220 billionth power, but there's a small possibility. So it happened. But to postulate that God exists, to prove that God exists from something in the world, and that there's a God that cares about everybody, you can't do it. There's no such thing. That God exists, and to love God, to realize to love God. Right? To feel so sure that God exists and that he's good and that I love him, this is an amazing thing. Well, that's what Yosef did. The world covers over God. The world is the best proof that God does not exist. On the other hand, the world is the best proof that God exists in a way that we can't possibly conceive of, that God is really lovable. He's amazing. And that's what Yosef did. When Yosef gathered all this money together, so he gathered together, we're going to see these different types of possibility to love God. Here we go. In Omer Zal, the rabbis say, Shlosh matmanios hit min Moshe. Yosef. There were 3 hidden treasures that Yosef hid. Achas nitgale the Korach. One of them was revealed to Korach. Huh? Yeah. One of them was revealed to Korach. One of them was revealed to Antoninus, and one is hidden for the tzaddikim in the future. Okay, what's Korach and Antoninus were not exactly big tzaddikim. Right? Like I just finished saying, this love of God can be misused. Can be misused, like everything can be misused. Everything can be atomic power. Wonderful atomic power can be misused. So money can be misused. Money is the root of all evil. Money is also can be the root of all good. You can build wonderful things with money. It depends what you do. Just one second. I want to turn off the heater. I overdid the heater over here in my room. One second. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's becoming boiling hot over here. Okay, here we go. So Yosef gathered together all this money. One of the treasures hidden, it was actual money. One of the hidden treasures was revealed to Korach. Korach, he was in the desert with Moses right after they got out of Egypt. So Korach made this big rebellion against Moses, got all the Jewish people to oppose Moses. Korach. This is right after he sent the spies, Korach. Okay, another one was revealed to Korach. This was like almost a year after they left Egypt. One of them was revealed in the middle of the second temple. To who? Antoninus. Antoninus. I guess Antoninus is, who knows, and Anthony with Cleopatra, who knows. Anyway, Antoninus, he was a big king that also ruled over the whole world. It says that Korach was tremendously rich, and that's one of the reasons that everybody listened to him because he was rich. And Antoninus revealed the other one. That was in the time of the Greeks, right in the second, right around now, Hanukkah. But it was like 2,500 years ago. So Korach, that was like 3,300 years ago. And Antoninus, that was the 2,500 years ago. The Achas, and one of them is hidden for the tzaddikim in the future. Oh, now what are the tzaddikim going to do with this money? We'll see. The Havens, to understand, you can see if it says Or Zerul Tzaddik. It says there is a light which is planted for the righteous people, for the righteous. A light which is planted. You plant light, what we'll see. You do, and it's known, or kadma, this is the primordial light. The Havin here that shine from the beginning of the world until the end of the world. But what's the first thing that God created? God created light. right? It says right in the beginning, first day of creation, God created the light. So he said, God saw that the light was good. And the Talmud, when Rashi brings down that God saw it was good to conceal. He saw the light was good to conceal. Alma the Gunis, it says, this was the light, the first light that God, this is Aramaic. This is light that shined from the beginning of creation, from the beginning of creation to the end of creation. Right? The Ganiz Kodesh Baruch Hu, that God hid for the righteous. God hid this light away for the righteous. Okay, now light is reality. It is reality realizing. So there's a type of reality which is cannot revealed. For instance, on Mount Sinai, God revealed reality. God revealed that He's creating the world. He revealed on Mount Sinai why He's creating the world. He revealed Himself on Mount Sinai. He revealed Himself. God revealed on Mount Sinai. God revealed how important this physical world is to His essence. So God revealed His essence on Mount Sinai, and nobody could take it. Only Moses could take it. And this is an example of this light which was hidden for the righteous in the future. Now people can't take it. It's too real. The Inyan of Geniza, this idea of being hidden, Yuvan will be understood. Now, I've just noticed one thing over here. Notice one thing. In all of Chassidut that we learn, it almost totally avoids heaven, going to heaven. We just did talk about a little bit of heaven, right? Just yesterday, about King David, God saying, me and you and King David will stroll around in heaven together. Except for that, it's not mentioned at all, because the main point of Chassidut, the main point of Judaism, is how important this physical world is. How important this physical, infinitely more so than all the upper worlds. Right? They said this world contains some sort of an amazing, how do you say, reality that can't be found anywhere else. In heaven, we only get a glimpse of this reality, what real reality is, right? How real every detail of this world is. Your house, your family, your dog, your everything. In Chassidut, it tells that everything in the world has a hint to it. How it hints at upper worlds, higher worlds. So really, this world is the main thing. The spiritual worlds, they are just like, how do you want to say it, metaphors for what's going on in this physical world. This physical world. Okay, so this world has real, true reality of God. Not the way we're looking at it now. The way we're looking at it now, the world is total big lie. And the upper spiritual worlds, they're called the worlds of truth. After a person dies, he says gets truth. But that whole system is a big lie. That whole system, this world and the next world, the upper worlds are more real than this world. That's a big lie. That's what we just finished learning, that Yosef nowadays Yosef is the spiritual world. He's more real and more powerful than Yehuda. But in the future, we'll see that this physical world is the main thing. Okay, so it says that Yosef gathered all this money together. And what is the money? It says this is the light which was hidden to the tzaddikim in the future. The value of this physical world, that value is hidden for the tzaddikim and the righteous in the future. The Inyan of Geniza, that's what it means, it's hidden. What does that mean? Let's explain. Hine, ba'avodas Hashem, when we serve God, Yimsa base bechinas u'madregas ahavas Hashem. You want to see what it means, hidden light, the hidden light of God? I'll tell you. Says the Rebbe, I'll tell you. God is infinitely lovable, infinitely valuable. You value money, you value your house, you value your family, you value things, you're right to do that. But God is infinitely more. Multiply your love that you have for yourself, for your family, or for whatever things that you love, right? Multiply that by 1,000,000, you've got a fraction of how good God is. Because first of all, God gives you your family. God gives you all these other things. God creates you. But we don't feel that. So that we can love our family, or that we can love our nation, we can love our money, or whatever things you love. You love your ideas, whatever you have your ideas that you like, whatever this, your political party, or your ideals, right? You love communism, whatever things you love, right? Or anything that you love, that's revealed. Those are things from the world. But there's a hidden something that's infinitely more valuable and precious to you that you don't see it. Me also. Nobody sees it. God. God is love. When you start to realize really, that God is more real than your family, than that God is creating yourself, He's creating your health, He's creating your money, He's creating everything. The God is actually more real, but it's on a different type of reality. It's not the type of reality that we feel with our hands. It's a type of reality that we feel with our soul, and our soul is not woken up. So once we devaluate a little bit, we remove our love from this world a little bit, then we're open to a different type of a love. Almost like a person, let's say, that's a drug addict, right? The drug addict, all he loves is drugs. He doesn't care about his family, doesn't care about nothing. He cares about it. All he wants is just another shot or another drink or another this. That's where his real love is. And it's false. It's false. As soon as he thinks, what am I going to do without another drink? As soon as he gets rid of those bad things, then he's open to have true love. He can have a relationship with his wife, with his children, with this, with that, right? And he didn't think it was possible before. He thought nothing is valuable except for the drink or whatever he's got. So it's the same thing with us. We're also addicted to our own egotism, to the world. So once we sort of remove our attention from the world, and we start thinking about that there's a creator, and you think about it, the Rebbe is going to talk about it. It says, then you can come to love God. And there's two different levels of loving God, each one deeper than the other. One type of love is a love which comes from, right, but as it is, the reality of God is concealed from us. And when we reveal it, suddenly we reveal a tremendous treasure. A tremendous treasure. Okay. From his bonus b'gedolas Hashem Ein Sof Baruch Hu. I just heard yesterday. I was just watching. There was a video they showed from what was his name? Muhammad Ali. He was a fighter. He was a boxer, but he was an intelligent person. He was a very intelligent person, and he was a talented person. Anyway, he said a little poem, and he said the most valuable thing is a friend. A friend. It was a very nice poem. It's more valuable than money, more valuable than anything to have a friend. And true friendship is something which is based on the spiritual. A person is willing to give everything he has for friendship. Where you see friendship, you see where it is. You can look at it, you see friendship. You can see, but nevertheless, that's the same thing. Honesty, integrity, care, charity. All these things, you can't see them, but nevertheless, they're tremendously valuable. To some people, they're totally concealed. Says that all of these things are lovable. They're valuable. How much more so God himself, who he is the creator of all these things, he's valuable. But that's even more hidden. It says the more that we reveal this hidden godliness that there is, the more we come to love God. It says, how do you do this? There's two types of love. One is drawn down from thinking about God. Hitbonenut, contemplation. The Gadolot Ein Sof Baruch Hu, and the greatness of God. Sheyamich b'sichlo, that you deepen in your mind, baroma muskedolos, in the highness and the greatness of God. When a person thinks about this, yolid mizeh, there will be born from this hitpalut, a result, emotions, betshuka v'hitlavut, a love with a tremendous desire to him. Ki lefi sichlo yahalal ish, according to one's intellect, a person praises God. Here it means Yeholah, well, a person will be praised. A person is more intellect, but it means a person will praise God. Shemidot, that emotions are drawn after one's intellect. Right? So it's like in politics, right? You think that one person gets up and says, you know who was the one who built this bridge? That was me. You know the one who saved you in the time of a famine? It was me. Everybody says, really? Yes, this is a good person. I'm going to vote for him, right? Then the next candidate gets up and says, no, it wasn't him. He's a liar. It was me. Oh, I love him, right? And according to a person's intellect, that's where his emotions are drawn. Who was the one who built the bridge? Who was the one who saved us? Was it candidate A or candidate B, right? Whoever it was, intellect, that's the one I love. You didn't see him build the bridge. You don't know the bridge. Just your intellect tells you the same thing. Who is creating me? Who's creating the whole world? Nobody. Nobody. So, okay, so there's nothing to love. I love myself. You say, no, God is creating the world. He's creating it. Don't you feel it? I don't feel nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. Think about it a little bit. Could it possibly be it's real? Really, God is creating the world. Yeah, think about it. He's creating you. God is creating me. Think about it. That's called Hidbonanut. Hidbonanut basically means solving a problem. You got a problem. What? You're telling me God is creating me. I don't feel it. How can it be that God is creating me? I don't feel it. Do contemplation. Hidbonanut. Think about it. Is it really possible God is doing? Right? Meditation usually means excluding the world, excluding problems. Contemplation means that you're thinking deeply. How can I solve this problem? It's a very pressing problem to me. Right? God is creating me. I don't feel it. How can it possibly be? You have to contemplate. Where is the possibility then? That when you do feel the reality of the fact, not just the idea, the religious idea, you feel the actual fact. My reality is really being created from God. God is more real than I am. When you feel this, you come to love. This love, this is born. This is a type of love which is a product of your thoughts, of your meditation. It's born, it's born anew by means of your intellect and your hitbonanut and your contemplation. That's a type of a love which, as soon as you remove your mind from it, so it goes away. It depends on your thinking. Like we said about the elections, right? If candidate A, he is the good guy, he was the one who built the bridge and he saved us, I like him. If it's him, right? As soon as you think about it, then you say, yes, I realize that candidate A, he was the one that built the bridges and he was the one that saved us. And he was in the, so therefore I love him. The same thing here. You think about God. God is creating me. God provides for me. God loves me. God took us out of Egypt. God this. You would start to think about that. Then you love God. You love God. And that's a love which is born from thinking, by realizing what's going on. There's another type of love that's even deeper. This is what's called concealed love. This is love. This is a love which is only found by the Jewish people, and it's a natural love from the godly soul of every Jew. That it wants in its nature, that it wants to be included in the infinite light of God, that it is its source. But it is concealed. And very concealed. This is the true idea of being concealed. And it goes out to be revealed also by means of thinking, like it says in the Tanya, but it's a different type of thinking. Different type. We'll see what type of thinking it is. It's not a born thing. Maybe I'll give you an example. A person thinking about how good his friend is. This is like let's take the example we just gave. Elections. Right? I'm going to vote for Mr. A because he did X, Y, Z, etc. He's very good. Right? And then because of the good things he did, so I come to love him. There's another deeper type of a love, right? They bring 5 people in front of you and say, one of these people is your father. My father? No, my father and me, we've been separated all from the Holocaust. My father, I think he's dead. No, your father is alive. One of these people is your father. Ask them. Start questioning them. Which one is your father? Tell me, what's our mother's name? What's your wife's name? Each one says Sora. No, that's my mother's name was Sora. Where were you born? 2 of them say Poltava. Oh, my father was born in Poltava. That was maybe you could be my father. When I was a young boy, I used to love a song. Do you remember the song? I used to like the song. That's it. It's my father. Daddy, you're my father. Okay, he had to think about it. He had to contemplate it. But as soon as he reveals it, he reveals something that's above understanding. It's not depending on anything. This person is my father. The love for a child with a father is an essential love. Not like this Freud and the other psychiatrists say that very sick people, that this is a thing that's just born like a cat or a dog or something. It's not so. The love of a child to a father and love of a father to a child or a mother, the same thing. The love of them is something that's deep, essential to human existence. That love. It's not a love that's born from anything. It's a love that's essential to human existence. The love of a child to his father. In a way, it's the basis of all society. It's the basis of all society, this love. That's why this whole thing, I know I go back to it too much, but this whole woke thing with homosexuality and this, why it's so tremendously sick, because it's dealing away, it's withholding from man the greatest love there can possibly be, the love of a father with a son, the son of a father. And that love is built all the other types of love. It's love that doesn't depend on anything. It's a love that a father is willing to give his life for his son, a son for his father is willing to give his life. It's that you're not thinking about receiving anything. You just appreciate the other person. Pure appreciation, pure love. So that says the Rebbe, the same thing with God. There's two types of love of God. One is love of God because of what he does, and what he, etc. And the other one is love of God because of just what he is. What he is. It's a natural love, and this is only by the Jewish people. That's why it says that Jews are called sons of God. Banim atem l'Hashem Elokechem. And when God told Moses to go into Paro, he said, go and tell Paro, B'ni b'chori, my son, my chosen ones, Israel. Israel are the chosen ones of God. They're the chosen sons of God. A son is this different type of love. That's a different type of love totally. From this comes a love. The second type of love, it already was in the beginning of the soul. But it was concealed very deeply. And by means of thinking, this is like the hidden treasure. It comes from concealment to be revealed. This is what the rabbis say, it says when wine goes in, secrets come out. What is it? What is the secret? The secret is this concealed love, natural love, which is in the heart of every Jew. That comes to be revealed al yadei, by means of hidbonenut, by means of thinking. But it's a different type of thinking that you're looking for reasons. It's thinking about who am I really. And this is called wine of the Torah. It's the secrets of the Torah. Because this type of love is really concealed in the Torah. When God gave us the Torah, he gave us his love. That's unconditional love in the Torah. To the degree that even if a person goes against the whole entire Torah, God will forgive him. We just finished learning with Yoravam ben Navad. He went against the whole thing. But God forgives you so that you can return to the Torah. But return with love. But emes malas madregasu, this type of hidden love, which is natural love, this is infinitely greater than the love which is born purely from intellect. Now, this is a thing which you can try at home. For bonus, even though that when you think about God and you give birth by means of thinking about God's greatness and God's wonders, this brings to a love which is a brand new thing. And the other one, the other type of love we just talked about, like a father to a son to a father, this is nothing new. Nevertheless, the source of this natural love, which is in the heart of every Jew, is infinitely higher. And the love which is born from purely from thinking about God's aspects, this is below it. It's not so low as the concealed love. Okay, well, this concealed love, even though that it's infinitely higher and it's more essential, but it's found in the most simple Jews, even the most opposite Jews, the most opposing Jews to God. You take a Jew that's an atheist, and you say to him, right, you're saying God doesn't exist, so you say to him, so maybe you're not Jewish. So what are you talking about? I'm a Jew just like you are. You're going to tell me what's a Jew? You think you religious people, you have a monopoly on Judaism? What does he care? What does he care? He doesn't care about the Torah. He doesn't care about the commandments. He hates the religious people, but he'll never a minute deny that he's a Jew. There are some Israelis that do, but they do it only externally. They don't do it. If you really, they'll see. I'm sorry. They're down deep that they really feel that they're just as much of a Jew as everybody else. That's a fact. They're very jealous of the fact that they're Jews. There's a lot of people that were woken up to their Judaism, atheists in Russia and people like that, because somebody called them a dirty Jew. You're a dirty Jew, right? I mean, to a certain degree, that's what happened to me. A certain degree. I went to a lecture by a big professor, and he said an anti-Semitic statement, and it just fired me off. I thought, what? What's he against the Jews? What's he against the Jews for? If you would have said a statement against any other religion or race or whatever, I wouldn't have been so adamant. But I said, listen, he's speaking against the Jews, and I'm a Jew, right? I could understand he doesn't like the blacks. Why? Because they're a different color. So he's got some crazy thing about he doesn't like this color. Or he doesn't like, slanted eyes. Or so doesn't like foreigners, right? So the guy's a nut. He's a maniac. But at least he's a maniac with something. He doesn't like this type of people. He doesn't like that type. But Jews were like everybody else. They looked like everybody else. They weren't foreigners. They weren't anything. So I should have just said, okay, the guy's a nut. But I'm a Jew. What's he got against Jews? And nobody else in the whole auditorium said anything. The auditorium was packed with Jews. And no one seemed to complain at all. Right? This professor, when he spoke against Judaism, that also woke me up. Right? Okay, but maybe I'm a little bit different with it. I can only repeat the story that I've told you so many times, and I'll tell it again. Maybe it should be today's story, but I've told it so many times. And the story is the story of Menashe, that he was a renegade Jew in Hebron in 1929. And that was when the time where there was a very religious Jewish, there's a lot of Chabad also, community in Hebron. In Hebron. And suddenly the Arabs announced that they were going to kill all the Jews. And Arabs came from the whole area around, and they just started massacring Jews. And this fellow Menashe, he was a renegade. He didn't do anything Jewish. He chummed around with the Arabs all the time, and he lived with them, and he did everything, ate with them, didn't do anything. He used to scoff at the religious people. And when these Arabs were coming on and killing Jews, so they came to the room where he was, the house where he was sitting with his friends, and they said, are there any Jews here? And the people said, no. And they pointed to this Menashe, and they said, but we don't recognize him. Who is he? And they said, he's one of us. He's not a Jew. And they said, okay. And they left. We're looking for Jews. We want to kill Jews. He's not a Jew. We're leaving. They left. And he stood up, ran out after them into the street, and he yelled out, I'm Jewish. I'm Jewish. I'm a Jew. And they killed him. So it made no sense. He didn't do anything Jewish. He didn't think anything. He didn't say anything Jewish. He was against the whole religion, but to live on the merit that he's not Jewish, he couldn't do it. I mean, psychologically, I don't know what went on, but what did go on is that his Jewish identity was was being attacked that he couldn't take. And that's this hidden love. So this hidden love, even though its source is higher, but it comes down much, much lower, much lower. Like it's written in the Tanya that this level of concealed love, when it becomes revealed, it's called great love. That it's above what's called worldly love, Ahavat Olam. That the worldly love comes from thinking about the world. This inside love comes from a natural love. Okay, this level of Yosef, a tzaddik, this is what's called this hidden love that's concealed. This is found in every single Jewish soul. That its source is very, very high in the essence of God. That this is the level of Yosef, that Yosef is what's called Yesod. We talked about that yesterday. That's the Yud Sod. Sod means the secret. That's this hidden love of God, which is in the soul of every Jew. That's the hidden treasure that Yosef hid. That's the hidden treasure that Yosef hid, which will be revealed to the tzaddikim in the future. That's what it means, Or Zerul Tzaddik. This is the level of the primordial love, a primordial light, which is concealed for the tzaddikim, this reality of God. The essence Jewish soul, which will be revealed, which is not revealed now, but which will be revealed to the tzaddikim. And this first light is this tremendous love, this deep love we talked about, which is infinitely, infinitely higher than any sort of love that could be born by your own intellect. Because or, the level of light, this is God's love, chesed. And there's what's called love of God, which is revealed in the world, chesed olam. This is a love which is drawn from thinking. But this primordial love, this is a connection. This is what's called ahava rabbah, great love, which is above any sort of intellect. And it's taken from this tremendous love of God, lo yamush. In a way, that's the miracle of Purim. The miracle of Purim, so all the Jews participated in the meal of Haman, of Achashverosh, I'm sorry, and they all bowed down to Haman, and they wanted to get along in the world. And Haman made a decree to kill all the Jews. And just like our story about Menashe, all he had to do was say, "I'm not a Jew," and it would have been saved. It says that in Chabad Hasidut, it says there's not one Jew that even thought to say, "I'm not Jewish." Why not? What was it so valuable to them to say they were Jewish? They were willing to deny it. They were willing to eat to bow down to Haman, to go to the meal of Achashverosh. All of a sudden, no. If their life was at stake, it was either my life or my Judaism. They say, "Take my life. I can't deny my Judaism even 1 second." But if you die, you're not going to be a Jew anymore. He says, "No, that's not so. If I'm going to die, I'm always going to be. A Jew is above understanding. It doesn't make any sense. I can't deny my Judaism." Says that's this essential, infinite, hidden love which is found, and that's what's going to make all the Jews do tshuva. That's what's going to make Mashiach is going to reveal this. Elishagandu the tzaddikim, it's hidden for the tzaddikim. Yosef, who is tzaddik elyon, who's called the upper tzaddik, and from it comes to every single Jew this tremendous love, but it's concealed, and it's concealed. And when there goes in wine, which wine is the ideas of Chassidut, will come out the secret. And that's the idea of Mashiach will reveal in every single Jew this concealed love to return to the Torah, return to your true identity, and eventually to return to the Holy Temple, which will be in the land of Israel. Nice. How Antoninus and Korach, how they misuse this is a big let's say, conundrum to me. I can't figure it out, but nevertheless, that's okay. Now we are learning the speech of the Red 1 second. Here we go.